Book of 2nd Chronicles follows the pattern established in 1st Chronicles. The author wrote to remind a people in need of encouragement that God had not revoked his promises or forgotten his people. Even though the Israelites had demonstrated their consistent inability to remain faithful, God would do what he had always done, show himself faithful to his gracious promises to his people. The storied history of the nations of Israel and Judah demonstrates the remarkable power of God's grace to redeem a sinful people. 2nd Chronicles traces the theme of redemption from David's death at the end of 1st Chronicles through the reign of his son Solomon and his successors. Though rulers would come and go, the focus of the book is on how God's actions are consistent with his promises to King David. Solomon fulfilled David's longing to build a temple for the worship of God. 2nd Chronicles describes the construction of the temple and the worship that is facilitated for the nation. This book focuses nearly all of its attention on Judah's history rather than Israel's. Since the nation divided into two kingdoms, Judah had inherited the promises of the Davidic kingdom. Though David's successors who led Judah ruled only a portion of the overall nation, God remained faithful to his promises to this small remnant. Judah became the core population through which God would accomplish his work of redemption and send the Messiah. David commissioned and gathered materials so that Solomon could build the temple as God's dwelling place among the people. Since the first sin in the garden, humanity had been incapable of coming into the presence of a holy God. God in his grace provided a way for the people to approach him in the tabernacle and the temple through the sacrificial system. Solomon himself recognized that this temple was incapable of containing God. While God would humble himself to meet with the people in the temple, there was a resounding need for a greater dwelling of God among his people. Jesus' incarnation did what the temple could never do. It invaded the cosmos with the dwelling of God in human form. Jesus came as Emmanuel, God with us, and lived among the fallen humanity in a sin-darkened world. Jesus likened his body to the temple, showing that while it would be destroyed on the cross, God would rebuild it again into his glorious resurrection. Ultimately, in God's eternal kingdom, there will be no need for a temple because the presence of God will pervade the New Jerusalem and his worship will fill the holy city once more. It was the duty of the trumpeters and singers to make themselves heard in unison in praise and thanksgiving to the Lord. And when the song was raised with trumpets and cymbals and other musical instruments in praise to the Lord, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever, the house of the Lord was filled with a cloud. 2nd Chronicles 5:13.